Quick, off the top of your head, when you picture Michael Jordan, what do you see? You probably see the poster, the tongue out, the cradle dunk, the shoes. But the Michael Jordan you remember from the posters is not the same object as the row of data sitting in a database. This video is a 12-minute argument for the Chicago Bulls' 1987-88 season, but we aren't just going to crown it and walk away. We are going to interrogate it. Using normalization, nearest neighbor context, and a massive fixture sample from our sister engine, 4812. If you're just here for the vibes and the nostalgia, the door is open. But if you want the cold, hard measurements, stick around. Because the default story we tell about MJ is embarrassingly simple. Points go up, jaws drop, debate ends. When you go to a bar and argue across eras, people completely skip over pace. They skip over franchise offense construction, and they treat usage rate like it's a personality trait instead of a mechanical input. Michael Jordan's game deserves poetry, but poetry is not the same instrument as a league-adjusted lens. Our memory loves the 63-point playoff explosion. Historians still argue over camera angles of the shot. We are not erasing 1986, but we are choosing 1987 to 88 for a very specific reason. The 4812 fixture sample binds these claims to basketball reference snapshots that you can actually go back and refetch. That is the difference between myth time and spreadsheet time. It's the exact same Michael Jordan, just a completely different epistemology. So, let's dive into the numbers. Player Efficiency Rating, or PER, is essentially a compression algorithm. It tries to fold assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, scoring, and mistakes all into one single scale. It is excellent for a quick triage, but it is terrible for basketball theology. Tonight we are going to treat PER like a smoke alarm. It's loud, it's imperfect, but it is absolutely worth listening to before you sleep through a franchise-defining season. Here is the row of data. Not the religion, the data. In this fixture, Michael Jordan averaged 35.0 points per game. His PER prints out at 31.7. That is a hightail read in the engine sample, and frankly, an absolutely absurd number. His share of the average franchise offense lands near 32%. That is an obscene slice of the team's oxygen. You are allowed to feel something when you watch the highlights, but you are not allowed to pretend this kind of production is ordinary. But what about efficiency? True shooting is the adult conversation about efficiency because it actually respects threes and free throws. In this fixture, MJ's true shooting percentage is about 60.4%, and his TS plus sits near 112, well above the league baseline. Translation: this scoring load was not just a fireworks show built on a shameful volume-chucking shot diet. The insane usage rate story actually coexists with a highly efficient true shooting story. The 4812 engine multiplies scoring shape by true shooting uplift to punish empty calories. And when you do that here, this record ranks third in the entire fixture sample on their constructed score. Not first, not some mythic infinity, but still completely obscene. That is the kind of sentence that advanced statistics allows you to say. It's precise, it's humble, and it proves MJ was still completely unfair to mere mortals. Now, per-game numbers are like a diary, but per 100 possession numbers? That is a laboratory notebook. This row carries a per 100 scoring rate of near 41.8 points per 100 team possessions. Those are cartoon numbers on paper, but they still had to be earned on the hardwood, fighting through pure fatigue and the entire defense's attention. We keep both lenses because normalization isn't just a button you press. It's a habit. And then there is the hidden tax: minutes. Jordan played about 40.4 minutes per game in this snapshot. His versatility, hitting dimensions well above the median in the engine sketch, reads as a 4 in the bundle narrative. This was not some specialist sniper hiding in the corner waiting for a pass. He was a Chicago Bulls workload machine. If you are going to critique his efficiency, you have to critique it at this massive carry weight, not at a tourist's minutes. Now, for a hostile minute. To be completely fair, the bundle admits a caveat. Per-game shooting splits are omitted in this specific fixture, so the true shooting leans on the basketball reference snapshot as given. That is not a scandal. It is just the boundary of the instrument. Good science prints its blind spots in bold, so stands can't pretend the model sees everything. Let's look at box plus minus. Models like BPM try to infer a player's impact from box score shapes rather than play-by-play. Gold. In this row, MJ's BPM reads 12.6, just another absolutely absurd telephone number stat. When PER and BPM are both screaming at you at the exact same time, you shouldn't automatically trust either of them as gospel. But you should probably update your assumption that this was just a quiet role-player year. Win shares per 48 minutes lands near 0.308 here. That is the kind of rate that makes a spreadsheet blush. Again, it's not gospel, but it is another angle to check if the box score story is internally consistent. The through line here isn't unanimity, it is convergence. We are looking at him through different imperfect cameras, and they are all showing us the exact same monster. At this point, the histogram has basically filed a restraining order. But the point of this isn't to dodge rigor, it's to keep your brain from completely hijacking the spreadsheet. Michael Jordan is incredibly fun to watch. Normalization is the seatbelt. You need to wear both. We also have to remember that 1987-88 is the season MJ won Defensive Player of the Year, a fact that highlight films absolutely love. Now, this 4812 fixture sample isn't pretending to be all 22 tracking cameras. It is box score forward with audits. So, celebrate the DPOY award as narrative truth. But treat the numeric claims here as the subset that the data can actually defend. His assists per game sit near 5.9. His rebounds near 5.5. Those are not center numbers, but they are definitely not tunnel vision numbers either. The Chicago Bulls offense ran through this usage comet in ways that box scores can only partially narrate. But even that partial picture completely destroys the one-word caricature of Jordan as just a scorer. So, how do we compare this? We use a nearest neighbor search. It's a compass comp. You choose a profile, in this case, story_facing_historical, and you ask the engine which seasons look like siblings across multiple columns at once. It is the exact opposite of tweeting one leaderboard screenshot and declaring it science. Let's stack the permits before we read the verdict. An extreme usage rate. True shooting well above baseline. A PER in the stratosphere. Minutes that imply a massive fatigue tax. And printed caveat lines about splits. That stack is the luggage we are carrying into the nearest neighbor engine. Not just a highlight dunk as a lone exhibit. And the result? The nearest neighbor under this historical facing profile is Michael Jordan's 1990-91 season with the Chicago Bulls. It has a distance of about 0.148, with coverage around 82% in the bundle language. It has the closest alignment on true shooting percentage, assists per game, and rebounds per game in their readout. Sometimes, the compass points at the exact same genius, just wearing a slightly different roll haircut. The 4812 engine's spine is almost boring on purpose. It wants to avoid single-number mythology. Not because numbers are evil, but because hero worship loves taking one column and sorting it ascending. A fixture sample forces you to print the caveat rows right beside the crown rows. That is the sibling ethic of a good documentary. You have to show the duct tape on the lens. So, the league lens has been applied. The hostile row has been printed. The compass comp has been executed, and Michael Jordan's 1987-88 season still reads like an absolute comet in the fixture sample. The fact that his nearest neighbor is his own later work is a strange kind of humility. It shows that true greatness is recognized as a family of seasons, not just a single lucky night. Walk out with this. Respect the poster. Marry the measurement. Read the caveat. And never, ever let one sortable column be your entire franchise offense theology.